Hello everyone and welcome to episode 20 of Reconstructing Cave Story. In this episode we're going to be introducing our first non-player character, which is the first cave bat. And that's what we're looking at right here in the real cave story. And you can see it kind of moves up and down in a wave-like motion, and it's pretty cool. Let's jump over it, and when we move to the other side of it, it starts looking at us, or it continues to look at us. So it's always looking at the player, and it's just moving up and down. So that's pretty much its motion, and then it's constantly flapping its wings. So yeah, let's get that into our engine. So my goals for this episode are just to get the bat to fly up and down and look at the player at all times. And I'm not going to do collision or damage yet. That's going to be for later episodes because there's way too much to do before that's ready. And then our implementation is just going to be a class where we can put our bat logic in. So let's create a struct that just contains an animated sprite and just get that working first. So let's open up our header files, add a new item. We'll call it bat.h. You know what? I'm going to call it first cave bat, just to be a little bit more specific, because there's a bunch of different types of bats. Okay, so what's this going to have? It's just going to have right now a animated sprite. So we'll say boost shared pointer to animated sprite. Actually, we can just do a pointer to a sprite. And we'll just call this sprite. Creative, no, it doesn't need to be creative. Shared pointer. And then we need to forward declare our sprite. So sprite. Keep doing that. So what's it going to need? It's going to need a position to start at. We'll do this in units of game. So units of game for X and Y. So let's make a place to store those in our private data section. Okay, so yeah, let's include units too. Okay, it's all happy now. Now I can start implementing it. But before that, I do that, I'm going to look at the sprite sheet and just kind of show you what I'm looking at. And I'm looking at the NPC Cemet, which is short for cemetery, even though the bat is never in the cemetery. I guess that's where he decided to put the bat. Anyway, it's at the third tile to the right and the third tile down. So tile X equals 2 and tile Y equals 2. Because remember, zero-based and all that jazz. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Just these 3 frames of an animated sprite. So that's what I'm going to be implementing first. So yeah, let's create a CC file to go with our .h file. Add new item, CPP, except we'll call it first cave bat.cc because I like CC better, and include first cave bat.h and all the things we didn't include before, except probably animated sprite because we don't really, because that's what we need more than anything. Yeah, so now let's implement our constructor. It's going to need an X and a Y to match our declaration. So X gets X and Y gets Y. And of course we need to, no, I don't like that. I like that better. What's going on? What am I doing? Okay, there we go. So yeah, let's create this sprite. So that sprite over here is going to be it's going to be a sprite, a new animated sprite. So what goes into animated sprite? So the first thing we need is graphics. So that's another thing we're going to need to add to our constructor. Then the file path, and this is just going to be our npc cement.bitmap. And I'm going to move this down some so we can keep looking at it. Oh, come on. Yeah. So then it needs a source X and a source Y. And remember, I said it was at the second, its tile X is 2 and its tile Y is 2. So let's do units tile to pixel 2, units tile to pixel 2. And it's going to need a width and a height, which are both 1. And an FPS, I'm not sure what this is going to be yet, so I'll just say kFPS or kfly FPS, how about that? And num frames, that's going to be 3. But let's make a constant for that too, k num fly frames, and add those up here in a namespace. And this is going to be units of FPS, and it'll be K. Let's just say it's like 10 frames per second. I'm not really sure though. That needs another parenthesis. So now we need our graphics. Let's do that before we do anything else. Just add it to the beginning of our constructor. And beginning of our constructor here. Forward declare it. And include it. All right. Yeah, so now let's create a first cave bat in our game class just to see if it's working. So we're going to need to add it as a member variable so everything has access to it. So I'll need to open up game.h first of all and struct first cave bat and just add a scoped pointer to it. We'll just call it bat. And we'll initialize it right below our player, or above, doesn't actually matter that much. It'll complain because it doesn't know what a first cave bat is, so let's include it. And then it's gonna say, actually, I mean, that's fine if we pass those in. So let's just give it a different tile position. Actually, half the screen width is, I don't want to do half the screen width. Let's do something like, what's the screen width? 20. Let's do like 5. And then half the screen height is fine. And let's remember to update and draw it. Otherwise we won't see it and wonder what's going on. So under update, we'll update it after the player. So bat update. Oh, we need to add an update and draw method. So let's just go ahead and call it as if we already have it and then fix it in a minute. So let's see, bat dash draw. We'll draw it on top of the player. Yeah, let's draw it before the player. Passing it in graphics. Okay, so now let's go to our bat.h, or our first cave bat.h, and create a draw and update method so that it can call its sprites draw and update methods. So let's start with draw. This will be a void draw. It'll stay const because drawing doesn't ever affect the object. So update will affect the object, so it won't be const, but we'll need to take in units of milliseconds for elapsed time. Now let's go fill these in. First cave bat. So all we need to do is just call sprite underscore draw, passing it in graphics in our X and Y position, and update, passing it in elapsed time. Okay, so now I think we have everything we need to build and run it. So I'm going to try that out by hitting F7 to build it. And I'll hit F5 to run it and see what I get. And I'm getting an exception. I probably spelled something wrong, I'll be honest. So let's see. In cave story. So let's break and see where this happened. The file path is /contents plural, even though I should be saying content singular. So let's fix that. So first cave bat, and hopefully this will fix it. And we'll see. Okay, yeah, here we go. I'll just bring it in. There's our bat. I think his wings are flapping a little bit too slowly, so I'll just up the FPS. But yeah, there's our bat. We obviously aren't taking collision damage yet or anything like that. We can't shoot him and kill him yet, but we're getting there. And he's not facing the player, so let's get him to move up and down first. I want him to fly first before he starts facing the player, so he seems more alive. So I'll work on that next.